Have you ever met someone whose words could move a whole room, and yet nothing in their own life ever moved at all? We all know someone like this. They talk about the person they are going to become, the things they are going to build, the changes they are finally going to make. The words sound wonderful, but the days stay exactly the same. This is a story about a man who learned that one finished thing, no matter how small, says more than a lifetime of beautiful plans. Many of us have felt this, the gap between what we say we will do and what we actually do. Let me tell you about Mateo. Mateo lived in a small village tucked between hills and a slow winding river. Everyone there knew everyone, and everyone knew Mateo as the man with the golden tongue. At the market, in the tavern, on long evenings by the fire, he would speak about everything he intended to do. He spoke of a bakery he would open, filled with the smell of warm bread every morning. He spoke of the old stone bridge by the river, cracked and leaning, that he would one day repair. He spoke of gathering the village children to teach them songs and stories. People loved listening to him. His voice made ordinary evenings feel important. They smiled, they nodded, they believed him, because he believed himself. But the seasons turned and the bakery stayed a story. The bridge stayed cracked, the children gathered for nothing. One quiet morning, Mateo passed the workshop of an old craftsman named Elias. Elias was outside, repairing the wheel of a cart, his weathered hands turning each spoke with care. Mateo stopped to watch. "Elias, why fix that old wheel?" he asked. "It barely holds together as it is." Elias did not look up. He tightened one more spoke, then set down his tool and wiped his hands on his apron. "This wheel does not need to look new," he said. "It only needs to turn." Mateo laughed softly. "I've been thinking about something myself," he said. "A bakery. I can already smell the bread in my mind." Elias studied him for a moment. "When does it open?" "Soon," Mateo said. "I'm only waiting for the right season." Elias picked up another tool. "You have spoken of the bakery for 2 summers now," he said quietly, "and the bridge before that, and the children's lessons before that. Which one are your hands working on today?" Something tightened in Mateo's chest. "I have been occupied," he admitted. Elias turned a spoke into place. "Occupied speaking," he asked, "or occupied doing?" The question stayed in the air long after Elias had gone back to his work. Mateo opened his mouth to answer, found nothing there, and walked home in silence. That night, sleep would not come. Elias's question circled through his mind, again and again. Occupied speaking or occupied doing? He thought of every promise he had made, every face that had nodded along, every evening where his words had felt like enough. And he understood something that hurt to admit. His words had become a place to hide. Speaking about the life he wanted gave him a small, warm feeling of having already lived it without the cost of actually building it. But nothing around him had changed because of anything he had said. Before sunrise, Mateo rose and told no one where he was going. He walked to the river and stood before the old stone bridge. It was not grand, just a narrow crossing of stone and timber, but the timber had rotted through in places, and most of the village had stopped using it. He had never built anything like this, but he decided he would learn by doing it badly first, and well later. He gathered old planks from his shed and carried them down to the river. He pulled away the rotted wood, plank by plank. The work bit into his palms. By midday, his back burned from bending. Twice, he wanted to walk away and never return. But each time, he picked up the next plank instead. He told no one what he was doing. He simply worked. By evening, 3 planks were replaced. They were uneven, but they held. He returned the next morning, and the next, each day, before the village fully woke. He gave the bridge 2 quiet hours. Some mornings he replaced only a single plank. Other mornings, a storm rolled through and soaked everything, and he worked anyway, cold and stubborn, because stopping felt worse than the rain. 2 weeks in, people began to notice. Rosa, who sold vegetables near the bridge, saw him there one gray morning. "Mateo, is that truly you fixing this old bridge?" she asked. "It is," he said, "and nothing more." He did not explain himself. He simply kept working. A young boy named Leo wandered over one afternoon. "Can I help?" he asked. Mateo handed him a small bag of nails to hold steady. They worked side by side without speaking much. The next day, Leo's older brother arrived with a better saw. Then Rosa returned with fresh timber from her own stores. Nobody had been asked to come. They came because they had seen something real happening, plank by plank, in front of them. 3 weeks after he began, the bridge stood whole again. It was not elegant, the wood did not match in color, and one railing leaned slightly to the left, but it held weight, and it held people. Children crossed it again, laughing, daring each other to look down at the water. No one gave Mateo a speech of thanks, but something in the way people looked at him had quietly shifted. He went to find Elia, who was sitting outside his workshop, sanding a piece of wood in the fading light. "I finished the bridge," Mateo said. Elias did not look surprised. "I crossed it yesterday," he said. "It is not perfect," Mateo said. "Perfect does not exist," Elias answered. "Finished does, real does." Mateo sat on the step beside him. "I always believed I needed every detail planned before I could begin anything." Elias turned the wood slowly in his hands. That belief stops more people than any lack of skill ever does. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, and the years pass empty while they wait. "Words cost nothing," he continued. "You can give away 100 of them before breakfast and lose nothing for it. Action is different. It costs your hours, your comfort, your certainty. That is why most people choose words." "But in all my years," Elias said, "I have noticed this. The people who actually change something are rarely the best speakers. They are the ones who begin before they feel ready, who make a clumsy first attempt and finish it anyway." The words settled into Mateo like rain into dry ground. "I spent so long imagining grand things," he said, "and never once finished one small thing completely." "A small thing finished," Elias said, "outweighs a grand thing only spoken of. That bridge is humble, but it is real. People walk on it." Mateo looked down at his own hands, marked now with small cuts and rough new calluses. "These hands tell a different story than my voice used to tell," he said. "They do," Elias agreed, "and people trust hands before they ever trust a voice." In the months that followed, something in Mateo shifted quietly. He stopped announcing his plans before he began them. He simply started and let the work speak when it was ready. Not everything succeeded. Some attempts failed outright. Others became something different than he first imagined. But things, real things, kept getting finished. He planted a small row of herbs behind his house, only 6 at first. When they grew, he added more. By the end of the season, he had enough to share. He never gathered the children for a grand lesson. Instead, one afternoon, he simply sat on a bench near the square and told a story to 2 children playing nearby. The next day, 4 came, then several more. He never made an announcement, he simply returned. Again and again. People began to see him differently. Once, they had smiled politely at his big ideas. Now, they came to him quietly, asking for help, because they trusted what his hands had already shown them. One evening, a young woman named Sophia approached him near the square. "They say you are the one who actually finishes what he starts," she said. "I want to open a shared kitchen for the village, but I do not know where to begin." A year earlier, Mateo would have answered her with a long, hopeful speech. Instead, he said something smaller. "Let us cook 1 meal tomorrow," he said. "Just 1. Enough for 5 people. We will share it and see what we learn from doing it." "Just 1 meal," Sophia repeated, surprised. "The larger kitchen may come," Mateo said, "but it will come after you start, never before. Begin with what is possible today." They cooked 1 meal, then another. Within 2 months, they were feeding 20 people a week without ever having announced a grand opening. Sophia learned what Mateo had learned before her, that small action creates a momentum no amount of planning ever can. Years passed quietly. Mateo became known not for the beauty of his words, but for the reliability of his hands. When something needed doing in the village, his name came up first, not because he had promised the most, but because he kept what he promised. On a warm evening, years later, Mateo sat once more beside Elias, now slower, his hands a little stiller. "Thank you," Mateo said simply. "For what?" Elias asked. "For the question you asked me all those years ago by the cartwheel. Occupied speaking or occupied doing?" Elias smiled faintly. "I did not change you," he said. "I only held up a small mirror. You changed yourself, the moment you chose to look into it." Mateo understood then that the bridge had never only been a bridge. It had been the first proof that he could become someone who finished things instead of someone who only described them. "Real change," Elias said, "almost always happens quietly. In early mornings when no one is watching, in the small choice to continue, even on the days you would rather stop. The world does not need more people who can describe a good life beautifully. It needs people willing to wake before the village does and do the unglamorous work of building one." This story reflects something many of us carry. Perhaps you have spoken more than once about writing something, starting something, changing some part of yourself. Perhaps you have described it so often that the description itself began to feel like progress. It is not progress. Words without action are only sound, however good they feel to say. But one small action, finished today, will always outweigh 1,000 careful plans for tomorrow. You do not need permission to begin. You do not need the perfect plank, the perfect plan, or the perfect morning. One plank on your own bridge, one small row planted, one page written, one conversation you have been avoiding. Let your hands speak before your voice does. Let people discover what you have built, rather than hear, once again, what you intend to. Build quietly, in the hours no one else sees. That is where anything real has ever truly begun. Start small, but start today.